You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Rush After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Rush After Show.
Can't help but to move to this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of this happening.
It is.
The shimmying, the shuffles.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us here at AFTERBUZZ TV. This is episode 4 of the Rush After Show. I'm your host, Yvonne Maisonette, and I'm here with...
JB Zimmerman, happy to be here.
And I like your shirt. It's really cool. It looks good on you.
I appreciate the compliment.
So this was I say this every time, this was another really good episode. And there was a lot going on, and I feel like, whoa. That's all I can say. At the end of the episode, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I mean, from where it started to where it ended, there's a lot of twists and turns. I was very excited. I'm very happy that this show is sort of coming into itself.
And I like that, at the end, that whole wow moment, because I literally was like, in my notes, I was like, wow. I like that, and I like to see, we'll get to that, but I definitely love that there's those zingers, this unexpected stuff that's like, whoa, Rush.
Right.
Hold on.
Exactly. I mean, they're really investing in everything.
They are totally. This is great.
Exactly. Great title. We Are Family. Obviously, the themes play out throughout.
Really nicely. And it starts off, it's kind of funny. Yanni the bear.
Yanni. Love Yanni.
Kent, his name is. And he called, Rush is called in because Kent's boyfriend is bit by, we think, a bear. So Rush walks into this house. And
yeah, we see the bear. I mean, naturally, you think clearly that's a possibility.
Yeah,
bear in the house.
The guy's bleeding, and he's like, "Okay, what bit you?" And
yes, exactly.
And it's funny because they're having a lovers' quarrel, and there's animals running around, and
yeah, but alas, it was General Westmoreland.
General West. So he's like, "What bit you?" Because I need to know what to give you. What bit you? Because he's like, the bear's a pussycat. Don't worry about the bear. He's a pussycat. And he's like, so then what bit you? And it turns out to be some type of lizard. General Westmoreland.
Exactly. Gigantic lizard.
Yeah.
Clearly poisonous.
Yeah.
So he stitches him up and, gets him patched up, so to speak.
Yeah, he patches him up.
Having more of a conversation with the victim, I guess, in the sense. And then
the animals.
There's clear animosity towards the reptile. I mean, he almost killed him.
And these are unemployed animals. So basically, the animals are unemployed, and so Kent keeps bringing them home.
They're stage
from the
animals.
Set.
They're stage
so it's kind of cute. It's like he just loves his animals, and his boyfriend is like, I'm done. I don't want any more unemployed animals in my house, and especially that lizard. After he bit him, he's like, sometimes I just want to kill it. Right. And at first, I thought he was talking about killing his boyfriend. Honestly, I thought he wanted to kill Kent because he's like, I love him, but sometimes I just want to. And I'm like, is he asking him to kill him? But no, he wanted him to kill the lizard.
Right, exactly. I mean, I don't blame him. It's sort of an extreme example of being with someone who collects, or not collects, but has an extra heart for animals.
Yeah.
There's people who are sort of cat enthusiasts and bring
it can be a bit much. And was that an ostrich, that bird that ran through the house?
I believe so.
Baby ostrich. So it's extreme at this point.
Right. I mean, there are illegal animals.
Bears.
There's a point where it gets to be a bit much, and they're just drawing
And I like it because I feel like this is comic relief because this was funny. This was cute. It was funny, and so. The way it's written is really nice because there's funny moments, there's sad moments, there's like whoa moments, So I felt it started off with this. Right, it was quite funny.
And there's a lot of twists and turns. I mean, again, this was just a short part of the episode, but you thought Rush was really killing the lizard when he sort of had thought ahead again, as he does.
Yes.
And sort of planned for the backlash a little bit, allowed himself an out because he was confronted leaving. And that really could have gone
Kent
south.
walked in as he was giving the lizard the shot, so
Exactly.
we're glad
and
Rush got
that
ahead.
scene sort of exploded. Kent ran Rush out of the house, basically.
And I guess we know Rush is no killer. He may be many things, but I don't think he's a killer. And not you know, of animals, of anything. He's not a killer, and this is what we... Not that... Because I was kind of like, is he going to do that? Like, you know? But he took the $15,000. Is the guy going to come back? Because he's like, oh, and your boyfriend gave me $15,000 to do it. But he gave him $15,000 to kill it.
I don't think so. Yeah, no, I mean, if I was Rush, I would say, you know, basically after the extreme couples therapy that he put them through, if they decided they didn't want the lizard, he would either take it
Yeah. But does he keep that $15,000? Because he did not.
Absolutely.
But he didn't do what he
qualms
asked him to do.
Still, I think Rush is very much so upfront about
his
the
money.
like he gets the money first, and you do.
Yeah,
there
but you
are
have
no
to
refunds.
deliver. I'm sorry, he did not deliver what I'm saying. He took the money, but he didn't do what he asked him to.
But I mean, that's the way he runs his business. Is because you know it is no questions asked ever, but at the same time, there's no.
He put it to sleep for a few hours. I don't know. I would want my money back.
True. I mean, I would feel slighted if I was the guy who paid $15,000 and wasn't done.
Next episode.
I would definitely place a phone call.
Yeah.
But I mean, they can negotiate. Maybe if it is a big deal, Rush will pick up the lizard and or
maybe he'll end up with a lizard. And it was kind of funny because before he left. You know, he said, Kent came out there like, don't you think you're a little off or you're crazy? He's like, I think it's safe to say that we're both a little off. You know, the guy who collects all the animals is calling Rush crazy because he put the animals to sleep.
Just let's check yourself.
It's safe to say that we're both crazy. Yeah. See ya. So then Eve, they're in the office and Eve is opening packages and she gets this hard to get face cream for Isabel. And it's the Eurofacial peel. Eurofacial peel.
Sounds expensive.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's like La Mer, or maybe more, because La Mer is like $295. Maybe this is like $1,000. Seaweed,
I did not know any of that.
Something for the face, some special miracle cream make you
I bet
forever.
Apparently, it's very hard to get as well. So,
but Rush is like, I hope she's not coming. And then Eve is like, no, her assistant is going to come pick it up. Don't worry, you know, she's not coming. And then he also receives his lifetime membership to the Token House. And then we get to find out,
just right in the trash.
Yeah, the mystery man's name, because. Why does he throw it in the trash? Because the mystery man from last episode, who was saying,
clearly had friction with Eve, and even Rush. We get the name J.P. Harris, but I gotta say, not all people with initials are bad.
No, so I love people with initials. Like, totally.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
huge
initials rock.
Advocate.
Yes, I should be YM or something.
Nice. There you go.
Next week, maybe.
Absolutely. Let's keep that going.
So J.P. Harris, we have a name to the mystery guy now, and Rush tells Eve, this is a moment, like, I'm like, was Eve bad at one point? Was she on drugs? Because, you know, he's like, stay away from him. She's like, I'm different now, you know, I'm not the same. And he was like, stay away. So there's this thing of this fear of her possibly going back. So I think it's very interesting. I'm very curious to find out what he did, what they were doing, what the deal is. Maybe she's not this little sweet, you know, 25
well, yeah, I think Rush sensed that she was feeling sympathetic towards him, and the fact that she saw him and they didn't talk about it, what is the alarming thing for him. He was like, oh,
you saw him?
You know, if he expected if she saw him to have like some type of episode where they were like, whoa.
Well, we saw him, and so it wasn't talk. But when she did see him, she was not nice to him. But when she tells Rush, she made it sound like she was a little nicer than she was, because I felt like she handled him well.
Well, yeah, I think that initial meeting, she had to be very stern to make it clear that you know it's not the past. This is now, and whatever happened is not going to go down anymore.
Yeah.
But I think. After the fact, she probably thought about it. Like, he handled it well. He's clearly on the road to a better path. So
she sounded more forgiving when she was talking about it with Rush. She sounded forgiving. It's like, oh, you know, he's sober now. So that's there. So we know that there's a weakness of some sort that she has with J.P. Harris.
Yes, very distinct
very,
letter difference.
Very important
and
one.
Last name, obviously.
So then, Corrine, Warren's wife, which is Rush's dad, she calls
Corrine,
while they're in the office. Yeah,
totally. And I definitely got the whole vibe thing between them. I mean, didn't really do anything drastic in the previous episodes other than the fact that she's very attractive and about the same age.
Yeah.
This episode definitely felt the vibe
So
throughout.
you felt the vibe?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Okay, so she's she's
huge.
kind of like, I want to meet you. And I'm kind of thinking, well, why? And he's like, why? He said
Yeah.
the same. She's like, well, because you have a sister. So I guess there's a little bit of like, okay, and then
Right.
they meet and
Well, yeah, I felt a little tension last episode. I mean, just because of who Rush is.
I mean, he's just so
and, like,
darn handsome.
Well, yeah, I mean, and
Just
he,
everywhere he goes.
yeah, like that's very much so.
He
a Rush
can't go
thing to do.
anywhere without that happening, actually.
Right. I mean, yeah, he's
Has-
very fond of
has
the women,
any
and
woman
I
ever-
do not blame him for that.
Yeah, and has any woman ever not jumped him? I mean, everybody loves Rush.
True. I mean, well, Sarah is one that he can't get. So
But she
I mean,
still
we'll go back
loves
to
him,
that
and I'm sure
later.
we'll. He had her for 4 years,
True. But
and so he gets all the ladies. I'm just
well,
saying.
clearly not all of them.
Well, he had her. He just didn't keep her. I didn't say
True.
he keeps all the ladies.
Okay.
He gets them.
Good distinction.
Maybe you can like find someone he doesn't get.
Well,
You
we'll
can
have to
tell
wait
me.
and see. Totally.
Like maybe someone can say no to him, but even when he went to see the therapist, remember?
Of course, yes.
But anyways, so they meet for lunch, and she says, your dad says you're a narcissistic hedonist, and she's saying all these things, and then she was like, this is when I knew she was being somewhat flirtatious, when she's like, well, what did you think I would be like?
Right.
And we're like, well, why did you ask him? And
Yeah, I mean, they're having drinks. It's a very light
little bit, yeah.
thing, very flirty.
But
and
she's
again,
fishing if he thinks she's attractive, and he was like, well,
Right.
I thought you would have big fake boobs and fish lips.
Right, exactly. I mean, they're getting very comfortable with each other. I mean, this is a time where it's like pretty obvious that there's sexual tension there. Like you can cut it with a spoon.
At that point, you
at
feel
this point.
really
Like, it
okay.
is very.
I guess I wondered it, but I wasn't as sure. Like, I knew it was there. I guess, yeah. I sensed some flirtation.
Right. I mean, yeah, it was pretty heavy, I think, in the beginning of the meal. And then once they started talking more about his dad, she revealed a few more things and the plot thickened a little bit. I mean, she was talking about really connecting them, helping his dad grow.
And he needed to soften a little.
Right. Exactly. And bringing the daughter in and sort of making the family and bringing that as a motive back
That was
into
her.
the picture.
She took her fishing hook. Because
Right.
that was her. She's just luring Rush,
Right. I mean, that's how she got him to have dinner or lunch with her in the
Yeah.
first place, and she sort of circled back to it after, obviously,
Yes.
flirting a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, then there was foreshadowing to what's Rush's dad's name?
Warren.
Warren.
Yes.
Thank you. Warren not actually making the call because just the way that she was looking, the way that they sort of cut it, she alluded to the fact that, like, oh yeah, like he's not the greatest guy, like
Yeah.
like
And then this Rush is feeling a little bit nicer towards his dad. It's kind of like going back and forth, and she's
Right.
like, oh, he thinks you're narcissistic, and and so it was pretty interesting how just that whole thing, because at that point you don't really know what she really wants. She
Right.
says she wants the daughter to know him, and and the dad's taking dancing lessons with the daughter, and he's softening, and she just wants him because he's very controlling. She
Right.
makes sure, yeah. So, so Eve, Isabel's assistant, is Lucas, and he comes to pick up the fancy cream, the Euro facial cream.
yes, the very difficult to come by.
And he
cream.
comes in, he's kind of a goofy, cute guy, like, right? And he comes in and he seems to immediately be attracted to Eve. And he says something when she opens the door, like, you got my stuff. And then right there, I was like, oh my God, she's doing drugs on the side. I thought she was selling drugs, and I think they wanted us to think that.
Right. I mean, I definitely took it as sort of playful banter. They're both young
Assistants.
Hollywood
Yeah.
assistants in the same place. They're both attractive people, like, future moguls, I guess, in the
Yes,
industry
yes.
can be. And it was sort of a nice moment that there was like something for Eve. I mean, she's sort of a supplementary character
Yes.
up until now. She's very supportive of Rush, but she doesn't really have her own
Storyline,
I mean,
yeah.
there was the J.P. Harris
developing.
thing, but still, we know nothing.
They're developing it really nicely. 'Cause,
Exactly.
we're starting. I think she's about to have her
Right.
moment. But so he kind of asks her out, but he said all of the assistants hang out on Thursdays, I think he said it was, and he's like, and we all get together and talk about our famous bosses. And she's like, no, I watch movies. I go to the cinema on that day. And then Rush calls, and he's like, put me on speaker. Is he cute? The guy, he's there. Is he cute? Put me on speaker. And he's like, ask her out. And then she ends up.
Yeah, Rush has no shame, which I like. I mean, he's a boss, and it's nice that he drew that line and said, you should have a personal life. You should do this. And just story-wise, I think it's a good move because otherwise we could be thinking that there's some type of tension between Rush and Eve. And it's nice that, even though they are like both attractive people of opposite sex, that they're sort of building new characters in and making it a wider cast.
And you know what he said, which is just a little something. He was like, you haven't gone out with anyone since you met me.
Right.
So this is interesting because he's
exactly. And it kind of, if they didn't do that, it would keep it kind of closed circle. I mean, I like Rush as the womanizing Rush that he is.
Yes.
So it's nice that they have different.
Yeah. This is the one woman that hands off what we were talking about earlier. But the only thing is she wants him.
Right.
But he hasn't. At least with her, he's not. He's drawing that line so far.
Exactly.
For how long? I have. Okay. When
we'll
it comes
see.
time to
We'll see. Yeah.
So, anyways, that's cute. So she goes out with Lucas.
Yeah, they have a great time. There's assistant stories. They tell a very graphic one about a tapeworm incident.
But they had to get her because she was trying, everyone's talking, and then, they're like, come on, you got to tell us. And she's like, absolutely not.
Yeah, she's new to the group, so she's a little shy.
And she shouldn't tell. Like, honestly, she should not tell. You don't know.
Well,
she doesn't know these
there's
people.
definitely like a distinction with the medical profession and
the
discretion.
Celebrities and TMZ or whatever.
Right. I mean, not just celebrities, but just any type of medical thing. There's always like the doctor-patient confidentiality that she completely breached.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, she's not the doctor, so
She didn't say names. She didn't say his name, and she didn't say the celebrity's name.
Right.
Basically, a celebrity called Rush. This is the story she tells to the assistants because they're like, oh, tell us something. Give us some juice. And she had just had some plastic surgery, and she was stuck in the house, and something happens, and she can't go to the hospital. And then he pulled, what did he use? He pulled a tapeworm out of her and he wrapped it around a pencil.
A pencil, yeah.
So gross.
Not pleasant, but I mean, better out than in, I always say.
I guess
so
you don't want a tapeworm living inside of you. So
no, you do not.
Yeah. So then, I mean, there's a lot because then
then he gets a call. I mean, it's a sort of a fake call that he thinks is to help a passed out woman with a rock star. Turns out to be a bounty hunter who's almost killed a guy.
Because this is a whole nother this was a packed episode.
Again, a huge curveball.
Yes.
So he's got to deal with that situation, save someone's life that's passed out.
And then
does his negotiation thing, gets the money he needs, and then leaves.
Because he walks in and he sees that this is not a girl, it's a guy.
Right.
And the guy's like, and he's like, I'm a bounty hunter. He's like, let's call the ambulance. And he's like, no, I'm a bounty hunter. I need to get him to Bakersfield by 6.
Yeah.
Or I have 5 hours or 6 hours to get him Bakersfield, make him alive, Don't let him die.
And no cops, obviously.
Yeah, no cops.
Standard protocol.
This was nice. This was a kind of cool. It was like a twist. So he sews up the guy, pulls the bullet out of him, sews this kid up. And the bounty hunter guy is like, he wants 6,000 because he said he wanted 3 and he said, now I want 6.
Exactly. I mean, then, we get a twist a little bit later. First, in between, after he leaves, Sundown calls him, a.k.a. Alex. I love that bit.
Like
I mean, I almost wish that they didn't explain it because, I mean, as a huge Top Gun fan, I totally knew.
Right. Oh, cool.
My roommate has been Sundown for Halloween, so we've totally had that. But it was a nice little, hidden,
thing.
Easter egg thing.
That's what he calls him. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
That's really
cool. It shows how close they are and how far they go back. They're
bros.
They are very much so bros.
Yeah. That was cool. And he's like, Sundown, what is that, a code? Is that a code? Did you call the cops?
Exactly. But it's a trap. Laurel.
Yes.
I'm not a fan. I mean, she's very attractive, but I'm not a fan.
I'm not. I don't think from the beginning I've been a fan. So I'm wondering if she's going to.
She's extremely high strung. I mean,
she's high strung. She's controlling.
Kind of a beast. I will say that.
And she's emasculating Alex.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm glad that he sort of, because I pegged him as a Carlton Banks early on in the show. I'm very impressed with Alex.
Why?
right
Because
now.
he's
Well,
kind of
sundown.
standing up to her.
Yeah, I mean he totally did.
But kinda. He did. No, he did.
I mean when the time was like calling for it, he was a man. And
He
that's
did.
all you
And
can
it was
ask
cute.
for.
So she calls, they were supposed to go to dinner or whatever. She calls Rush to the house. Rush gets there. Alex is like, what are you doing here an hour early? He's like, ask your wife. So she sits them both down. And this is ballsy. I'm sorry. In any situation, unless the guy's got your husband on drugs, well, sometimes
Yeah.
good.
I mean,
unless it's like serious, like that's
Exactly.
his best friend. They've known each other before before Alex met his wife.
Exactly. You can't just pull rank like that. I mean, she calls an intervention,
And she's like, you guys are taking a break. First of all, we are not children here.
Right.
Like, I didn't like that either. I was
yeah, it's
totally...
like the way she handled it was just all wrong. Plus, it wasn't really her place. I mean, you can't prevent someone from doing something you like that they want. Like,
What do you think? What is her deal?
Exactly.
What do
I
you
mean,
think?
a relationship is a give and take. It's not like a controlling
But
thing.
why do you think she wants him out? Rush is he's okay. He's a handful,
Right.
but he's not bad. He loves their
Definitely.
son.
I mean, yeah, she's just worried that, I mean, she's making obviously bad
This
choices.
is true.
So she's concerned for the family as a whole, which I get. She just didn't handle it.
No,
because
because she could have talked to her husband about it, and she could be like, "Look, Alex, honey,
Communication,
don't steal
people.
blood. Don't
Communication.
risk." She has a point. Don't steal blood. Don't. He's doing things.
Yeah.
But I just think it was all wrong. It made her husband look like a child. She's sitting them down like two little boys and trying to tell them. And that was a really cute scene when Rush was like, "Are you gonna let her do this? Like, what's up? Handle your woman."
Right.
And
He's
Alex is like,
I'm leaving. You
He
guys
tried to
handle
leave.
this.
He's like,
Talk
"Sit
it out.
down."
Let me know what happens.
that was really
Give me
cute.
the cliff notes.
And then like you said, that they're BFFs, they're best friends, and then
Right. I mean, you can't just break up bros. Like, bros
no,
before
it's
hoes.
Bros before hoes.
I mean, not necessarily in all cases, but
But in most.
it's, yeah.
Or at least in that, she just
I mean,
did
you
it
can't,
wrong.
yeah. It's, the situation was not in her favor in the least. And she just,
It was no good.
right. No good. Very well put.
So then they were supposed to go celebrate at because his dad got the job back for Alex. They were going to celebrate at
Or
Chateau.
so we thought.
But yeah.
Yes.
So that didn't happen. And then Alex ends up at Chateau by himself drinking while
Exactly. Rush gets another
called
call
back
to
again.
the same place. I don't know why he went there though. Like, it seems, given that everything went down the way that it did at that motel,
he
like
could be done.
you'd be like, you know what?
I think I'm done.
I'm gonna
Pass.
I'm gonna pass on that one.
I
Like,
told him
I
he
did
could-
my thing there. We're good.
The guy's sewn up. So he gets called back, and now it's the guy who was sewn up is now standing up with a gun pointed at Rush, and the guy who was supposedly the bounty hunter is now on the ground with a knife in his stomach.
Exactly.
And it turns out
the roles have reversed, tables have turned.
He's like-
I actually like this a lot. I mean, because they cut to commercial right after that, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm the bounty hunter."
I'm the
instead,
bounty hunter.
I was like, "Ooh, the twists."
I know, we're
the
like,
twists and
whoa.
turns.
And that guy was kind of like a helpless little kid because he's kind of like, okay, well, maybe I'm not a bounty hunter.
Right. He's
but
like, "All right,
but
you
still."
got me." Called me out. Okay.
Just kidding,
Touche.
JK.
Touche. Yeah. But seriously, help him.
help him, don't let him die. But what was his reason? He didn't want to go to jail for murder, I guess.
Right. I mean, we're not. Obviously, there's
That
a
whole-
scuffle, and he stabbed the actual bounty hunter. Sort of comes clean, but still wants to make good on the no one dying.
Yeah.
thing, which is a plus.
And he has no money. This kid has no
exactly.
money.
Yeah, and
he's
we
not paying Rush here. He's just like, he can't die because I don't want to go to jail for murder. But he doesn't have any money to pay.
right, and
Freely.
they can't call the cops obviously to get like an ambulance there and handle it legitly. Rush, just pulls out his phone. He knows a lot of people. He's got
ambulance
guys.
friend.
He's got a guy.
I love the ambulance guy.
got
He's
a
always
guy.
there almost every episode. He's there. He's always like, what you need, man.
Exactly.
When we bring the blood, I'll bring the blood. Or what do you want to do?
Yeah, the go-to guy gets him there, takes care
Yeah.
of business, and then Rush is about to take off. The kid pulls a gun on him and is like, no,
You're staying with me.
we're not good yet. They start driving off to God knows where until they end up at this kid's house.
And his dad, he was worried about his dad.
Yeah,
My
he
dad.
would suit to having my dad's gonna kill me, obviously mirroring the daddy issues that the Rush.
He said, and
is
he's
going
like,
through.
oh, I understand. Rush is like, I understand, and the kid is like, how could you understand? You're a
Right.
doctor. If I was a doctor, my dad would think I was a god. And he's like, no, it's really not.
Exactly.
You know,
I mean, it was a nice little
it
bonding
was.
moment for them because just before that, it was a completely different dynamic with the kid threatening to kill Rush. So, I
Yeah.
mean, they needed that sort of turning point to make them be on the same side.
And this is Rush doing a freebie. I mean, he's kind of forced.
Right. A little pro bono work.
Yeah.
Never hurt anybody.
Yeah, and he tried to get him to take Vicodin, and then the kid's like, I know what you're trying to do. I'm not taking that. And then Rush pops one. Don't
Right.
say I didn't offer it to
Yeah,
you.
he's like, okay, that's
Fine.
I mean,
Be in pain. I'm
Suit
gonna take one while I'm
yourself.
driving. So, so that was, it was cool. And he had the gun, and he was like, you know, kind of, you know, not all there. So he was, I think, Rush
right.
was
Yeah. I
worried
mean,
the
he's
gun was gonna
losing.
go
He's
off.
bleeding out at
Yeah.
this point. Like it's been a while since he was shot.
Yeah.
So
and then he's getting up and fighting with the other guy. Probably ripped his wound open again.
Yeah. No. I mean, it was a very makeshift fix. I feel like.
Yes.
Done in a
Totally.
motion.
'Cause he was trying to get
yeah.
out of there. He was like, this is not a good situation.
Right.
Let me sew him up and get out.
Plus, I mean, Rush didn't know what he was getting into, so he probably didn't bring like everything he needed
Yeah.
for the gunshot wound.
Yeah.
Given that he thought it was like a passed out
Girl.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then he takes the kid home to the dad, and the dad's like, get him out of here. I'm calling the cops. And the mom's like, hey, you know, be nice. And he's like, Dad, I'm bleeding. Is that all? He's like, what did you do? That's what the dad says.
Right. Just, I mean, obviously, we get the feeling that the dad kicked him out previously. The kid is into some bad stuff, so we can only
The
assume
dad's
like
overly
drugs or
judgmental,
something.
and then the kid's, you know.
Right. Not the first time that this has happened. It seems like, you know, he was just pretty much X'd out of the family almost. And then there's tension. The son is literally dying, and we get a nice moment that the dad does end up helping. I mean,
And he does care, but Rush jams
Right.
the two. He's like, what blood type are you? He says that to the mom. And then he asks the dad, and dad's like, oh, and he goes, come here, and he shoves a tube, and he
Right.
takes the blood from the dad. And that was such a sweet moment because
Right,
the dad
right.
sheds a tear, and he's like, I don't want him to die, but the dad seemed really hardcore.
exactly. I mean, the dad was definitely playing the tough love card, and the mom was sort of like getting him back in check and saying like, you know what, this is actually important, like above all your other stuff going
Right.
on, like your son is dying.
He's going
like,
to die. You need to save
snap
his
out of
life.
it, realize the situation, and
Yeah.
and it was a really nice moment that the dad literally got to save his son's life. Like if he wasn't there or had a different
Yeah.
blood type, I mean it's nothing you can control.
Yeah.
But it was a nice moment.
nice.
A direct transfusion, which is
Wow,
pretty
that was
crazy
really
stuff.
cool. And
Yeah.
and Rush appreciated that moment. You can see he was looking at that dad. He felt great to see the dad
Right.
cry and show emotion, and you could see that meant a lot to Rush.
Right, and there was forgiveness in that moment. I
Yes.
thought. I mean, he was like, you know, like, please tell me he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I don't want him to die, and it was a real therapeutic whole thing.
And hopefully it'll be long lasting. And the
Yeah.
dad's not going to be yelling at him later like, I gave you my blood.
Right. I mean, it seemed like the kid came to realize his old ways were no good and wanted a positive change.
Yeah. Okay. So
He repented.
And then that was a good moment. And then Rush, Alex calls Rush, where are you? I'm here. Hello.
Still at the bar, dude.
I'm
Still
drinking. And he's like, I'm going to come in 20 minutes. And he's like, actually, I have to make a stop because he had this moment with this kid and the dad. And so Rush is feeling like, you know, like he had talked to Corrine earlier. And he's
Exactly.
starting
Gets
to feel
a little inspired to repair his own
So
father-son
he
relationship.
stops at home, at his father's house, I should say. And he knocks on the door, and his father's not there. He took the daughter to the country club. So it's Corrine, who's a little bit under the influence, right? Feeling a little good. She's
Right, yeah. I mean, she's very scantily clad right now, and she's
feeling kind of sexy because I don't know what Adderall does. Maybe it's Adderall, the alcohol, something.
Well, yeah,
She's
definitely
loose.
the alcohol.
She's a different.
I know that one for a fact.
Yes.
That's,
It'll loosen you up a little.
take that to the bank.
The alcohol will do it.
Yeah, alcohol will do it.
So she must have been drinking a little, and then
Right. I mean, we see her pour like 3 fingers
Yeah.
of whiskey or
and her
something.
thing, and so she's got the alcohol. So then you're like, oh, maybe she's gonna make a little pass, something like that. That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
So he walks in, and that was like such a steamy moment because, you know, first he wants to talk to his daddy, and that's really sweet. He comes there to talk to his dad, and then Corrine's there kind of being Miss Seductress, and then she's like, I'm the one who made your dad call. He was like, well, my dad, he looked out for me.
Right.
He called, and I just want to come here. And she's like, I looked out for you. He wasn't going to do it. I made him call. So she's not so sweet. You know, she's also like
Right. I mean, she reveals that everything isn't perfect in her life, and she's having a lot of problems with her dad, and they sort of bond on that front. After she reveals that, you know, it really wasn't his dad.
I spent hours arguing with your dad to make him call and help Alex out.
Exactly.
And to help you. And then she just takes her hand and she strokes him. And next thing you know, they have
right.
sex.
I mean, you get the drinking and Rush involved with a
beautiful
woman.
And
that's
so
going to happen.
He
9
had
times
sex
out of 10.
with his stepmom.
Totally. I mean, they're not related, so it's fine.
Yeah,
but
of course.
it was. Yeah,
but
it
it's
was
his
pretty steamy
dad's
scene,
wife,
for
so
sure.
they're not related. But he and
True,
his sister's
definitely
mom.
breach of the dad-son code.
And he gets up
sure.
off the bed because I guess they were in the kitchen and end up in his dad's bed. This is really bad.
Right.
And there's a picture of his dad, his sister, and his
the whole
mom.
family sans him, and he's like, okay, may have been a mistake.
He feels
kind
bad.
of regret it.
He feels bad, and you see it in his face. It's a really feel bad.
Right.
Like he feels horrible. Like you can tell it's not his usual. Oh, I did it again. It was like, okay, I think I crossed the line.
Exactly. Well, I mean, because they're a family, it's less so an attack just on his getting back at his dad. But I think when he saw his half sister, that's really like the turning point because it was his half sister's mom, and that's like sort of a breach of their relationship, even though they've never met.
Yeah.
So I think that really like turned the knife in.
He
like,
crossed
okay,
the line.
totally
Rush crossed the line because like he's a single guy. He can sleep with whoever he wants to. We can't judge him for sleeping with a multitude of women.
Right.
But now he crossed the line. It's like, what won't you do? And as attractive as she was, it's like you can just see in his face it was big.
Right. I mean, Rush is very impulsive, so I don't he didn't think about that part until later.
Until it's over.
Right. Exactly. And then he sort of cleared his head in a way, I think.
Oh. Okay.
And was able to assess like what actually happened and definitely felt bad about it. But that's a good thing. I think if they didn't have that moment, it would have been worse for Rush's character. You know, the fact that he does feel bad and he was like, oh, now in retrospect, bad idea.
Bad
I mean, because
move.
if it was just his dad and like his girlfriend or his dad, like if they were married, that's not as big of a deal in my head, just because, you know, he and his dad obviously do not have a good relationship.
Right, and this woman
it's just
is
sort
just
of
yeah.
Right, exactly. It's just
a new wife.
an impartial woman. I mean, that happens on level with friends and everything else. But the fact that the half sister is involved, and they haven't even met, that really
dirty business.
is no good.
Yeah, it's not good. So then he finally goes. Poor Alex is like at the bar by himself,
still drinking, probably hammered,
and then
probably blacked
remember,
out.
Rush was like, "I'll be there in 20," but he stopped at home and had his moment with Corinne.
Yeah, banged one out. Really quick,
banged one out, and then so he gets there, and Rush is like, "Where have you been? What have you been doing?" He's like, "Nothing. What have you been doing?" Like he's like, "Let's not talk about me." You know, what did he say? He said something kind of funny.
Oh, he said just family business.
Oh yes,
yeah.
That was really funny.
The innuendos and sort of the smart, witty lines I really like about this show. I mean, it happens a lot with the foreshadowing and sort of they set stuff up that later they go into. Well
written, well laid out, and they pack a lot in. You know, they were able to really pack in a lot in one episode. I mean, so much was going on. So anyways, he sends Alex back home. Alex is like, screw her. I'm not going home. I'm not going home tomorrow. I'm done, you know. And it was Rush who was like, you know what, go home. You don't know how lucky you are. Because I think Rush really realizes, like, you know, sometimes it's fast life.
Yeah, and his family. It just goes back to that. I mean, he saw what a dysfunctional family can get to.
Yeah.
And, you know, he sees Alex. They're having a little bit of problems with fighting, but it's still rooted in love. I mean, she was acting crazy because she was worried about him, and she's worried about the family. So, you know, when you realize that, like the motives for people's actions, you know, you can really take a step back and say, you know, like let's talk about this. Let's assess what's actually going on and just facilitate that communication.
Yeah.
You know, they were both heated and caught up in the logistics of it all. And I think Rush really helped Alex.
Yeah, he did the right thing. He sent him home like, you go home.
Yeah, it was a very mature Rush moment.
Yeah, and it was really cool. And I just think that, you know, Alex is going to go home. I mean, Laurel's a bit of a problem because she's just too bossy and all of that. But at the end of the day, he sent him home, and he's like,
Right.
don't pick up the milk, because she wanted him to pick up milk. And he's like, look, that's her way. She texted him, pick up some milk, and he Rush is like, that's her way of saying sorry.
Totally. I mean,
That was
granted,
funny.
I think that was the only in real life. I
Yeah.
do not think Rush would say that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think most guys would ever say that, because women that's a very not to be like sexist or generalize too much, but women often don't say exactly what they mean.
Right.
Speaking like that, she could have sent a text like that meaning something else, like meaning I'm sorry,
Right.
without saying it.
Right.
But as a guy, I feel like we are mostly like straightforward, say what we mean. So I don't think a guy
He
would be like,
would've-
oh yeah, she means sorry, bro.
Yeah.
Don't
You're right.
worry
That's a
about
good-
it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that his character did that, because it was the right thing for Alex.
It was. It was
Yeah.
the right thing. So Rush, he did some good stuff, right? He did some bad stuff.
Right.
He
I
did
mean,
some
he's
good
a
stuff.
he's a doctor, so it's nice to see him fix things.
Yeah,
Like, it's
he's
nice
a
to
medical fixer.
exactly.
So I think we can get to predictions now.
I think so too. Let's do it.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well, I think, okay, I'm going to say that I think Rush is going to have to deal with I don't know, I could be wrong, but like
The consequences.
yeah, and sex addiction. I think now it's clear. You know, like he has sex addiction. Do you think so?
I don't think it's that extreme. I think it's a cross between, I mean, maybe a minor case, but it's not like he destroys relationships or his own life to do that. And I think that's like the main definitive
I guess that's a
thing.
good point. So far he hasn't, but this
I mean, granted, he's an attractive guy who's a doctor. He's very smart. Like, if he gets girls, like,
what are you going to do?
power to him. Like,
what are you going to do? It's
who
fair.
can blame you? Like, come on.
Yeah, I guess this is true. So what do you think? I mean, what do you predict for it?
I predict problem. Like, I think the consequences of the family and like his dad, that whole storyline is gonna explode pretty soon.
Do you think the dad's going to find out?
I don't know if next episode he will find out soon though. I think next episode they might set it up where Corinne and Rush sort of have, I don't think an ongoing relationship, because Rush definitely doesn't want to
But
ruin
what
it
if
that
he's
far.
like sucked in by her? What if he just can't stop or something?
Right. Well, that's where I think Rush is not like a sex addict, because I think he has the strength to say, you
no.
know what, that was a bad idea. Like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, and he
again.
doesn't have to, because he's got so many other options.
Right, exactly.
So, okay, well, we shall see. It'll be interesting.
It will.
To see. And you guys, thank you
Absolutely.
so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe, to like, and thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, definitely.
Take
Where
care.
where can they find you?
They can find me at Yvonne Maisonette on Twitter and at entertainmentcrush.com.
Very cool. Well, you guys can find me at JB_Zimmerman. See you guys next
ya.
week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.